I wanted to reinsert the name ʻAʻapueo back into ʻAʻapueo, like as a form of identity, because the mo'olelo of ʻAʻapueo is very formative. It's important not only for, the name of this Ahupuaʻa, but also for like Wailuku and some of the other history that took place here. So helping my haumana at the time connect to this place through the mo'olelo of ʻAʻapueo and then through this mele. That was the impetus for me composing the entire mele. So when it comes to the first verse, Mauiloa is an old ancestral name for this mass here. One of the more famous epithets for it is Mauinuia Kamalala Walu, which is great Maui of the chief Kamalala Walu. And then in Meleapakui, that genealogical chant, Papa and Wakea gave birth to this island, and it was Ihi Kapalau Maewa. Ihi means the form of kapu. Kapalau Maewa means white kapa flags. When they went up, they knew that this ali'i was in residence, and these were the kapu associated with the Ihi Kapalau Maewa. With each place name, Mauiloa, we researched Mauiloa. With Mauinuia Kamalala Walu, we researched Kamalala Walu, so you have to go in his genealogy before him and behind him. And then Ihi Kapalau Maewa, as part of the Kamehameha genealogies. The second verse is kind of the kai verse, or the ocean verse. Began with Nahonua Pi'ilani. Pi'ilani, of course, is a mo'i of Maui. He kind of brought in the golden era of culture here on Maui. So Maui is collectively called Nahonua Pi'ilani, even though those honua are actually located in Ka'anapalimoku. And then the four channels that surround the island of Maui, Alenui Haha, Alala Keiki, Au, and Pailolo. If the students choose to research more, they'll find other names like Alenui Kawahawaha, Kaiohaui, Kaioanehe, Moanawai Keo'o, and so on like that. But we began with the basic ones that pretty much everybody across the state can recognize, Honua Pi'ilani and the four channels around our island. All of the moku meet at this point across Haleakala, across the crater, called Pohaku Palaha, means flat stone. And so it's said that if you stand on that stone or you walk around the top of that stone, you walk in all of the districts on this mountain range, except for, of course, Hamakuapoko. So it says Kula extends from Pohaku down to the plains of Kama'oma'o, which is the Isthmus of Maui, and then to the Sea of Anehe, which is basically the bay, Kama'alaya, towards Pu'uola'i, which is that hill above Little Beach and Big Beach. That's Kaioanehe. And then also in this verse, I mention the different winds, the base winds and rains of this area. As environmental phenomena, the winds and rains are predictable. So if I know the name of the resident winds of my place, the normal winds, I know from which direction they blow. And so I know, for instance, how to angle my house, where to build my wall higher so that my crops won't get blown over. Knowing the winds and rains informs us of the environmental conditions so that we can make the best judgments so that we can exist here in the most efficient and effective way possible. So the winds and rains are very, very important. The last verse speaks specifically about the Ahupuaʻa that we're in now. So it was island, oceans, moku, and then the last verse is the Ahupuaʻa, named ʻAʻapueo, and it says in there it was named after the wife of Pueo Kaya. And so the pilina between these lands and Wailuku is also mentioned in the story there, in that the owls fought and caused the death and destruction, and the blood running into the water caused the place to be called Wailuku. But of course, she then took refuge up here in ʻAʻapueo, her husband down on the boundary between Kula and Wailuku Moku. So these are place names that have a story that tell us about the relationship between Kula Moku and Wailuku Moku as well. And it talks also about the Pueo Kalani, the sweet potato mounds of Kiha Pi'ilani. So researching that story allows people to connect further to this place. Immediately here in ʻAʻapueo, we have this hill. When you first come down by the security gate, that hill there is Pu'uoveli. And then you can see a red hill up there called Pu'upane. And that's kind of the top of ʻAʻapueo. That ties into the story of Kiha Pi'ilani. That's where the kahuna lived that instructed him to make his sweet potato mounds here, that he was able to later feed his army with and defeat his brother and become the mo'i of Maui. Because it's in the last chapter, pane itself means to answer. Well, it means the back of the head, but it also means to answer, right? And so you're kind of saying, this is my answer to who I am. When we take this mele off of the campus and we go someplace and we present it, this is my answer to who are these people. We give this, and this is the answer to who we are. So the mele itself, the entire mele, is full of place names and the names of winds and rains and other phenomena. If you research those, you can have a deeper connection to the history of this place, which if you make it a part of your identity, then the history is no longer history. It's now modern. It's being lived in that continuum. Sense of place for Native Hawaiians is often rooted in the past. Mele like this serve to ground us, no matter who's learning it. This particular mele grounds you to this place here. The hope is that you can use this as an example to find grounding in other places as well. Some of our students come from Lahaina, some from Ke'anai or Kailua, or some from up the road or just down the street. All of them meet here at ʻAʻapueo. You now have a shared identity with all of your classmates, with all of your schoolmates, with everybody involved in this school system. And so ʻAʻapueo also is an identity. It's a distinct identity. Hopefully the mele serves to ground everybody in that way. It serves as a means of connection, a sense of pilina, not just with the aina, but with everybody else who comes here and who exists in this space regularly.